Hey Reddit. Throwaway account because this is messy and I honestly can't believe I'm typing this out. I, 34M, have been married to my wife, Lena, 31F, for just over 6 years. We've had our ups and downs like any couple, but I thought we were solid. Or at least I wanted to believe we were. We met through mutual friends and got together fast. She was fun, spontaneous, sharp-tongued, and confident as hell. Lena always had this energy that pulled people in, and I was no exception. She flirted hard, drank harder, and made me feel like I was the only guy in the room. When we were good, we were great. But looking back now, I ignored a lot of little things. Her always needing to be around guys because she just relates to them more. Her keeping her phone face down all the time. The way she'd get weirdly defensive if I asked who she was texting. The first real crack in the armor came about 2 months ago. She suddenly started going to girls' night every Friday, something she never cared for before. Cool, right? Everyone deserves time out. But then it turned into Fridays and Saturdays. Then she started coming home way later, like 2 or 3 a.m. I asked her once, half joking, "You sure this is a girls' night and not some secret underground poker league?" She just rolled her eyes and said, "God, you sound like my dad." That stung more than it should have. But still, I let it go. I trusted her. I wanted to trust her. I didn't realize then that I was the only one holding the thread while she was already unraveling everything. So after the whole "you sound like my dad" comment, I started to feel off. You know the gut feeling that sits in your chest like a rock? I told myself I was being paranoid. But things kept piling up. First, the perfume. Lena started wearing this new perfume, something strong, spicy, not at all her usual type. I complimented her on it, trying to keep it light, and she goes, "Oh, it was a gift from one of the girls." Okay, cool. But a week later, I see the exact same bottle in one of those top 10 sexy scents men love posts while scrolling on Instagram. Coincidence? Then there were the showers. She started taking late-night showers after coming home from girls' night. Lena used to crash on the couch in her makeup and jeans after a few drinks. Now she's suddenly scrubbing like she just escaped a crime scene. I asked her once, "What's with the shower at 2 a.m.?" and she literally laughed and said, "Sorry, didn't realize I had to get your permission to be clean." That's how it started. Every time I asked a question, no matter how casual, she treated it like an interrogation. She twisted things, gaslight me, I know that now. Back then I just felt guilty. Like I was the crazy one. Oh, and the phone. Always face down. Notifications on silent. She never used to be like that. I tried to brush it off, but one night I saw her smile at a message, then lock the screen before I could even glance over. When I asked who it was, she said, "It's just Sarah. You don't need to babysit my texts." Except Sarah never texts her. Ever. The worst part? She started picking fights. Randomly. About dishes. Laundry. The way I chew. Like she was looking for a reason to leave the house or sleep in the other room. It was like she needed me to be the bad guy. And even then, I still didn't want to believe she was cheating. I thought maybe she was stressed. Maybe something was going on with her mentally. I even suggested we take a weekend trip, just the two of us, and she said, and I quote, "God, that sounds exhausting right now." That's when I started keeping notes. I felt like I was going crazy, so I wrote down everything. Times. Excuses. Weird behavior. Not to confront her yet, but to prove to myself that something was wrong. Spoiler alert, I didn't have to wait long before I got my proof. Okay, so about a week after I started jotting things down, something happened that I still replay in my head. It was a Wednesday night. Nothing special. I was on the couch watching some random Netflix doc, and Lena was in the kitchen pretending to scroll her phone while drinking her unwind wine. She was texting someone fast. Like the kind of speed you only text with when it's someone you really want to talk to. She had this little smirk too, the kind I used to see when she'd flirt with me in the early days. Anyway, she puts her phone down for a second to go to the bathroom, and I swear I wasn't planning to look. But my eye caught the screen light up and I saw the name. J. Work. Message preview. I missed that mouth. I froze. Heart pounding, skin crawling, kind of frozen. I didn't even open the phone. I just stared at it like it was a ticking bomb. Jay. From work. I'd heard that name before. She's mentioned him exactly twice, always casually, always in passing. "Oh, Jay from marketing said something hilarious today," or "Jay helped fix my slides." Normal stuff. Harmless. Until now. When she came back, I was quiet. Too quiet, probably. She noticed. "You good?" she asked. I nodded. "Yeah. Just tired." She didn't press. She grabbed her phone without a second glance and walked off to the bedroom. I waited. I watched. 10 minutes later, the light under the door went off. She thought she was in the clear. I sat in the dark for an hour, gripping my phone like it was a weapon. I didn't know what to do. Couldn't sleep. Couldn't think. I kept hearing that message in my head like it was on loop. I missed that mouth. The thing is, she wasn't just cheating. She was doing it with someone she sees every single day. Someone I let her vent to me about. Someone she looked me in the eye and said was just a harmless coworker. That's when the anger started. Low and slow at first, but growing. I didn't confront her that night. Not yet. I wanted more. I wanted the truth, not just a crack. I wanted the damn earthquake. And I got it. After that text, I missed that mouth. There was no going back. I was officially in it. And no, I'm not proud of what I did next, but at that point, trust was gone. I needed answers. I needed to see what she was hiding. So the next day, while Lena was in the shower, I finally did it. I opened her phone. She always had a 6-digit passcode, and I figured it out in 2 tries. Her birthday and the year we got married. It honestly pissed me off how lazy that was. Like she wasn't even trying to hide it. Or maybe she just didn't think I'd ever go there. I wish I could unsee what I found. First off, Jay wasn't saved under J work, like I thought. That was just for notifications. In her actual contacts, he was saved as Jess W. I'm assuming short for work, so if I searched J, nothing would show. Crafty, right? Their messages went way back. Flirty at first, then sexual, then full-blown filth. Like sexting during meetings, inside jokes about me, actual quotes like, "He still thinks you're just stressed? LMAO. Bet you'll be dreaming about last Friday, winky face." I felt sick, like physically nauseous. I sat on the edge of the bed while I scrolled, my hands shaking, heart racing. I found photos too. Nothing full nudes, but enough to leave zero room for doubt. Her in lingerie I'd never seen before. Him shirtless in what looked like a hotel mirror. She told me she was at her friend Mel's birthday that night. Guess Mel has a king-sized bed and room service now. But here's the kicker, the real gut punch. She said, "I love you," twice. In one thread, right after he sent her a photo of the hotel room, she replied, "I love you. I hate pretending around him. I wish we could just be together." That him? That was me. That was when I broke. I sat there, phone in hand, while she hummed in the bathroom, probably thinking about which pajamas to wear like nothing was wrong. Like she hadn't just blown up my entire world behind my back. I put her phone back exactly where I found it. I didn't say a word that night, because now, it was war, and I wasn't going to make a move until I knew everything. The next morning, I woke up before her, just stared at the ceiling, trying to make sense of everything. I wanted to scream, cry, shake her awake and shove the phone in her face. But I didn't. Instead, I watched her roll over and mumble, "Morning," like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't just told another man she loved him less than 48 hours ago. That kind of betrayal does something to you. It scrambles your brain. You stop trusting your own instincts. I kept asking myself, did I miss this the whole time? Was I blind? Or did she just get better at lying? That day I played it cool. Went to work. Smiled at people. Answered emails like I wasn't planning the emotional equivalent of a tactical strike on my own marriage. I wasn't just going to yell and accuse. No, that's what she would expect. I needed her to think I was clueless. I needed to see how far she'd keep going, how deep the lie would run. If she'd double down, deny, gaslight me like she'd been doing. That Friday, she told me, "Surprise, surprise." She had another girls' night planned. "Mel wants to do a karaoke thing," she said. "I might crash there, we'll see how late it goes." My blood ran cold. Mel, the one who supposedly had the birthday, the one who apparently has room service and hotel decor now. I just nodded and said, "Have fun." But I didn't stay home. I called Mel. I had never directly talked to her before, just knew her face from Instagram. So I found her number in our wedding guest list and took a shot. She answered. "Hi, this is kind of random," I said, "but I'm Lena's husband." "Oh, hey, Everything okay? Yeah, sorry, just a quick question. Lena mentioned you two were doing karaoke Friday night. Pause. No, she said. I haven't seen Lena in weeks. I could literally hear the blood rushing through my ears. Are you sure? I asked. She said you had something planned Friday night, maybe a late one. No, definitely not me. Maybe she meant another Mel? Sure. Must have been the other Mel. I thanked her and hung up. So that was it. She was going to karaoke with her imaginary Mel while I sat at home like a chump. But I didn't sit at home. I followed her. I know. That sounds insane. But when your world's on fire, you start doing crazy things just to find a solid piece of ground to stand on. What I found that night, that was the match to the gasoline. Friday night came. She got all dressed up, tight jeans, heels, the I'm not trying but I totally am look. She wore that same perfume again, the one gifted by the girls. Said she might crash at Mel's if things went late. I smiled and told her, have fun. Love you. She didn't say it back. Just grabbed her purse and left. I waited 5 minutes. Then I grabbed my keys. Now look, I didn't even know where to start. I didn't want to be obvious and follow her too close, so I texted my buddy Kevin, who works security at one of the nicer hotels downtown. Just on a hunch, I asked, hey, can you check if a J last name checked in recently? 5 minutes later, he sends me a photo of the guest ledger from that night. Room 824. Checked in at 6:47 p.m. J last name. I was shaking. Full body trembling and not from nerves rage. I drove like a robot. No music. No talking. Just my thoughts screaming at me the whole way. I parked a block away, walked in like I belonged, and took the elevator up to 8. Heart pounding. Hands sweaty. Mouth dry as sand. I stepped out. Stood in front of room 824 for a full minute trying to decide if I was actually about to do this. Every rational part of me said, walk away. Don't do this. You'll never unsee it. But I didn't walk away. I knocked. No answer. I knocked again. Firmer. Then I heard her laugh. That laugh I used to love. Muffled. From inside. Then silence. I turned the handle. It was unlocked. I opened the door a few inches and what I saw burned itself into my memory like a scar. There she was. Lena. Sitting on the edge of the bed in lingerie. Him standing shirtless in front of her. They both froze. No screaming. No panic. Just stunned silence. Like I had stepped out of a mirror they didn't know existed. Her eyes widened. What the F, what are you doing here? Jay just grabbed his shirt off a chair, saying nothing. And me? I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I just said calmly. Say it. Say it out loud. Say what this is. She stood up, panicked now, fumbling for words. It's not what it looks like. I laughed. Like actually laughed. Yell? So what does it look like then? A goddamn prayer meeting? She started crying, reaching for me. I stepped back. Jay said nothing. Not even sorry. Just quietly slid past me like a coward and walked out the door. I stood there while she sobbed half naked in front of me, trying to spin some excuse about how it wasn't serious and you've been so distant lately and I didn't mean for it to happen. I looked her dead in the eye and said, you didn't mean to get caught. Then I walked out. And I didn't look back. I didn't go home that night. I couldn't. I drove aimlessly for almost 2 hours, just trying to stop my hands from shaking. Parked in some random grocery store lot, turned off the engine and just sat there in silence. No music. No calls. No tears. It's weird how numb you feel after the explosion. I thought I'd be furious. I thought I'd scream or cry or maybe even lose it completely. But instead, nothing. Just this cold emptiness like someone had hollowed me out with a spoon. Around midnight, I finally texted her. Don't be home when I get back. 1 minute later, she replied. Please, can we just talk? No. No more talking. No more lies. I got back to the house around 1:30 a.m. and thank God she wasn't there. But she'd left a note on the kitchen table, one of those dramatic, handwritten, messy, I'm the victim here kind of letters. Some highlights. I made a mistake, but it didn't mean anything. I was feeling lonely and you were always working. I didn't plan to fall for him, but he made me feel seen. Please don't throw us away over one stupid thing. One stupid thing. Like she forgot the part where she told another man she loved him. The next morning she came back. Banged on the door for 5 minutes. I didn't answer. She called me 17 times that day. Left voicemails crying, swearing it was just a fling, that she was confused and going through something. By Monday her tone had changed. Now she was mad. You're not even giving me a chance to explain, she texted. You never ask how I've been feeling in this marriage. Maybe if you paid attention, this wouldn't have happened. Ah, there it was. The classic redirect. She cheated, lied, snuck around, humiliated me, but suddenly I'm the reason she took her clothes off in a hotel room with Jay from marketing. She didn't want to talk. She wanted to win. And that's when it finally clicked. She didn't feel guilty. She felt caught. I stopped replying after that. I blocked her on everything for a few days. I needed space to breathe, to think, to exist without choking on the stench of her lies. And in that silence, she made her next move. She showed up at my parents' house. So 2 days after I blocked her on everything, I'm having coffee at my parents' place, trying to just be a human for a minute, and who shows up in their driveway? Yep, Lena. My mom saw her through the window and muttered, "Oh hell no," which made me love her even more in that moment. But before I could even get up to block the door, Lena was already knocking. Reluctantly, I opened it. My dad stood behind me with his arms crossed like a bouncer. Lena looked off. No makeup, wearing a hoodie and joggers, messy bun, all very calculated, sad girl energy. She held out a manila envelope like some courtroom drama. "I just wanted you to have this," she said softly, eyes already watery. "It's everything. My phone records. Screenshots. Proof it's over with him. I've cut him off." I didn't take the envelope. Instead, I asked, "Why are you here?" She looked genuinely shocked, like she thought I'd fall to my knees and thank her for showing up with her homework folder of damage control. "Because I love you," she said. "Because I fucked up and I'm trying to fix it." My mom jumped in before I could. "You didn't just mess up, sweetheart. You carried on a whole affair. There's a difference." Lena blinked, lips twitching like she wanted to argue but knew better than to fight a mom with protective rage. She looked back at me. "I was hurting, okay? You stopped seeing me. You just went to work and came home and stopped being there. I was lonely." There it was again, the spin. I told her flat out, "You don't get to cheat and then rewrite the history of our marriage to make it okay." She stepped toward me, tears falling now. "Real or fake? I'll never know. Please, just one chance to talk. Just us. No yelling. No blame. I'll tell you everything. I'll go to therapy. I'll do anything. I just can't lose you over this." I was silent. She reached out to touch my arm, and I flinched. That was the moment she knew. She backed up like she'd touched fire. "I guess you're done then," she said bitterly. "I was done the second I opened that hotel room door," I replied. And then she dropped the final grenade on her way out. "Fine. But don't come crying to me when you realize you ruined this marriage by giving up too fast." She cheated. She lied. She told another man she loved him. And somehow she still made herself the victim. That was it. The last sliver of hope or confusion or what if left in me shriveled up and died in that doorway. I called my lawyer the next morning. Calm. Straightforward. I just said, "I want out. She's been cheating. I've got proof. Tell me what I need to do." He walked me through everything: division of property, potential spousal support, how to protect myself legally. The moment I hung up, I felt this wave of clarity. Not relief, not yet, but direction. Like I had finally stopped free-falling and found a rope. I filed for divorce that Friday, and 3 days later, Lena lost it. I got a voicemail from her, sobbing, screaming, saying, "You're seriously going to throw away 6 years over one mistake?" And then, in the next breath, "You're disgusting. You always needed everything to be perfect. You never saw me." It was like listening to two different people battling it out in her own throat. Then came the texts. "You're overreacting. He meant nothing. I can't believe you're ruining my life over a fling. Hope you're happy being alone." But the real kicker came 2 days after I filed. She showed up at my workplace. Yup, just walked in, bold as hell, wearing a fake sweet smile, and asked the receptionist if she could talk to me, just for a minute. Luckily, someone I trust intercepted her before she got to my office. She left behind a little handwritten note in an envelope marked private. Inside, a Polaroid of us on our honeymoon, and a message on the back. "You really want to throw this away?" That this had already been thrown away by her the second she opened her legs in a hotel room. I didn't respond. The next move she made, she started telling people I cheated on her. Yep, Within a week, mutual friends started messaging me awkward. "Hey man, is everything okay? Lena said some stuff that doesn't sound like you," kind of texts. Turns out she went nuclear. Told people I had grown cold and distant, that I'd been emotionally abusive, that I'd probably been unfaithful for months. She even told her mom that I'd ruined the marriage because I was obsessed with work and never touched her anymore. All lies. She was rewriting the narrative before the ink on the divorce paperwork was even dry. And here's the worst part. Some people believed her because she's charming. She's good at crying, at playing the wounded wife, at twisting half-truths until they look like halos. I didn't defend myself. Not at first. I just let the silence speak. But eventually, I stopped letting her own the story. So after weeks of letting her sling mud while I kept quiet, I finally hit a wall. I got tired of being the villain in a story I didn't even write. A mutual friend of ours, Emily, reached out. She and Lena were close-ish, but Emily's always had a strong BS radar. She messaged me out of the blue. "Hey, I don't want to be in the middle of anything, but Lena's been saying a lot. It's not sitting right. I know you, and this doesn't sound like you." I told her everything. The texts, the hotel, the voicemail, the fake mail nights, all of it. Her reply? "Wow, I believe you. I knew something didn't add up. She's telling people you broke her heart." I thanked her and left it at that. But she must have said something because the tide started turning. People stopped calling. The side eyes died down. Her support squad thinned out. Then out of nowhere, I get a DM request on Instagram. From Jay. I almost deleted it without reading, but something told me to open it. His message? "Hey man, I just want to say I didn't know she was still living with you when we started hooking up. She told me you two were basically separated and still figuring things out. I didn't know she was lying until you showed up at the hotel. That was when I realized I'd been played too." Hold up. I read that message 3 times. She told him we were separated? He went on. "I'm not proud of what happened. I should have verified. I should have walked away. I had no idea how far she'd gone until I saw your face that night. I backed off after that. We haven't spoken since." I didn't reply. I had no interest in talking to the dude who slept with my wife, even if he'd been duped too. But, weirdly, it made something click. Lena wasn't just cheating. She was layering lies. Telling him one story, me another, friends something else entirely. It was like she lived in her own little universe where truth was optional and manipulation was a survival tool. This wasn't a one-time mistake. This was a pattern, a personality, a game. And once I realized that, something inside me finally let go. All that pain, all that humiliation, it stopped feeling like my failure. It wasn't about what I missed or what I didn't do or how hard I worked. I could have been the perfect husband and she still would have found a way to burn the house down. I didn't destroy this marriage. She did. So by this point, I'd accepted it was over, not just the marriage, but the illusion of who I thought Lena was. I had a lawyer. I had the truth. I even had screenshots, voicemail receipts, Jay's own messages if it ever came to that. I was ready to just finish it, sign the papers, and move on. But of course, Lena had one more move up her sleeve. A week before our first court date, she messaged me from a new number. I hadn't heard from her in over a month. I almost blocked it without opening it, but something about the preview line caught me. "You should know before this goes further." I opened it. The message said, "I think I might be pregnant." Yeah, pregnant. Now let me be clear, we hadn't touched each other in months before the hotel incident. I was sleeping on the couch more nights than not. Zero intimacy. So unless she's the Virgin Mary, that baby sure as hell wouldn't be mine. I stared at the message in disbelief. Is it real? A lie? Some final Hail Mary attempt to manipulate me? I waited a day before replying. "Congrats. You might want to let Jay know." She didn't like that. She fired back with a flurry of texts. "It could be yours, you don't know that. I didn't keep track of exact dates, okay? Don't you even want to talk about it?" I stayed calm. Cold even. We both know the timeline. I'll take a paternity test if it comes to that. After that, radio silence for a few days. Then another message. "Never mind. False alarm. I got my period." Just like that. No apology. No acknowledgement of the mental warfare she just dropped into my life for fun. And it hit me, this wasn't just about cheating anymore. This was emotional terrorism. Every interaction with her was some desperate attempt to regain control, twist the narrative, yank my leash just one more time. But I didn't flinch. Didn't respond. Didn't argue. Didn't even feel much, honestly. She had finally run out of power. All I had to do now was show up in court, sign the damn papers, and be done. And so I did. Court day arrived like a hangover I didn't ask for. I barely slept the night before. Not because I was nervous about the legal part. I had everything documented, backed up, and lawyer approved. No, it was the weight of the moment. The final nail. The last chapter. I walked into that courtroom alone. Lena was already there, sitting with her lawyer, dressed like she was auditioning for some Lifetime movie version of herself. Modest dress, soft curls, no makeup, but just enough to look tired but strong. She didn't even look at me. Which was fine. I wasn't there for eye contact. The proceedings started. My lawyer laid everything out: cause for divorce, proof of infidelity, no shared children, division of property already negotiated. Clean. Simple. Fast. Then it was her lawyer's turn. And that's when the performance began. Her attorney said Lena had been emotionally neglected for over a year, that I was hostile and withholding affection, and that she regretted deeply the emotional connection she formed outside the marriage. Emotional connection. Like the hotel bed just made itself. I didn't say a word. Just stared straight ahead while she dabbed her eyes with a tissue she definitely brought from home, probably pre-dabbed to make it look authentic. Then the judge, this no-nonsense woman in her 60s, asked if Lena had anything to say directly. And oh, she jumped at the chance. She stood up, voice shaking, and said, "I never meant to hurt him. I know what I did was wrong. But I was in pain too. I felt invisible in our marriage. I made a mistake, yes, but I loved him. I still love him." The room was silent. I'm not gonna lie. Part of me felt like I was watching a stranger speak through her mouth. It wasn't even sadness I felt. It was embarrassment, secondhand shame, like she was still trying to audition for sympathy points in a game she already lost. The judge turned to me. "Do you have anything you'd like to say?" I stood up. "No, Your Honor. I've said everything that needed saying. I'm ready to move on." And just like that, it was done. The papers were signed. The marriage was over. 6 years of my life wrapped up in a manila folder and a few cold words from a judge. Lena didn't look back as she left the courtroom. Neither did I. The weirdest thing about the end of it all? It's not the rage. It's not the heartbreak. It's the silence. After the divorce was finalized, I went back to my place. Not the one we shared. I'd moved out months earlier, found a small apartment across town, bare walls and empty shelves. Like someone hit the reset button on my life. I walked in, dropped my keys, and just stood there. No more lies. No more late-night fake girls' nights. No more guessing who she was texting. It should have felt like freedom. And it did, eventually. But in that first week, felt hollow. Like I just amputated a part of myself. And the pain hadn't caught up yet. Grief is weird. You'd think it only hits when something good is taken away. But the truth is, it hits just as hard when something toxic finally leaves you, because that poison had become your normal. And now you're sitting in a quiet room, trying to remember who the hell you were before it all. I catch myself making coffee for two, or reaching for my phone to text her something dumb, or scrolling past a restaurant we used to love and feeling a pang of something. Not regret, not love. Just residue. She reached out once, 2 weeks after court. Some random, "Hello, hope you're doing okay," message from a new number. I didn't reply, not because I was angry, but because I didn't feel anything. That's when I knew I was really healing. Jay never messaged me again. Good. I didn't want or need closure from him. Let them crash into each other like two selfish meteors. That had nothing to do with me anymore. I started therapy. Real, no bullshit therapy. Started journaling. Went to the gym. Reconnected with people I'd pushed away while I was drowning in her chaos. It didn't fix everything overnight, but it gave me one thing she never did. Peace. If you'd asked me a year ago what kind of man I was, I would have told you loyal, stable, easygoing, forgiving. I thought those things made me a good husband. Now I know those traits without boundaries just made me a target. Looking back, the signs were everywhere. The sudden phone privacy, the mood swings, the constant blame shifting, the emotional roller coasters that somehow always made her the victim and me the villain. even when I was the one bleeding. But I didn't want to see it, because seeing it meant admitting the person I loved wasn't who I thought she was. And that's a terrifying thing to accept, that the person you gave everything to wasn't just flawed, but fundamentally selfish. Here's what I've learned since. If your gut tells you something's off, pay attention. It's not paranoia, it's pattern recognition. You feel crazy because someone is actively distorting your reality. Someone who loves you doesn't hide behind lies. Love isn't just saying it, it's showing it, and showing up, every day, even when it's hard. Cheating isn't a mistake, it's a series of choices. At any point she could have stopped, told the truth, asked for help, but she didn't. She doubled down. That's not weakness, that's character. Apologies without change are manipulation. She cried. She begged. She wrote long letters and said all the right things. But none of it mattered, because the behavior didn't change, just the strategy. You can't fix someone by loving them harder. I tried. God, did I try? I gave more and more while she gave less and less. Love without respect isn't love. It's self-erasure. And here's the biggest one. Leaving isn't failure. It's freedom. I thought divorce meant I'd lost, that I hadn't tried hard enough, that maybe I wasn't man enough to keep my marriage alive. But I realize now I didn't fail. I survived. I kept my dignity. I reclaimed my peace. And I chose myself, maybe for the first time in years. If you're reading this because you're going through something similar, if you're in that fog where nothing makes sense, where the person you love suddenly feels like a stranger wearing their skin, this part is for you. I was you. I stayed too long. I made excuses. I told myself she was just stressed, that it was just a rough patch, that it would get better. And when the red flags started stacking up, I doubted myself instead of her. Because that's what happens when you're in a toxic relationship. You learn to trust your abuser more than your own instincts. Let me be clear about something I wish someone had told me. You are not crazy. You are not overreacting. And you are not broken for still loving someone who hurt you. Love doesn't just disappear overnight. That's what makes betrayal so cruel. Your heart doesn't catch up as fast as the truth does. But it does catch up. And once it does, you'll see things clearly. You'll see how much you were giving. How little they appreciated it. How much of yourself you sacrificed just to keep the peace. But peace built on lies isn't peace. It's just quiet manipulation. If you're scared to leave, that's normal. If you're afraid of being alone, that's human. But trust me on this. There is nothing lonelier than sleeping beside someone who's already gone. Choosing yourself isn't selfish. Walking away isn't weak. Sometimes the bravest thing you'll ever do is stop trying to fix what someone else keeps breaking. So if you needed a sign, this is it. You deserve honesty. You deserve loyalty. You deserve a partner who sees you, not just when they're bored or guilty, but every damn day. And if you're standing in the wreckage right now, thinking you'll never feel okay again, you will. Maybe not today, but soon. And when that peace finally comes, it's so quiet, so honest. You won't ever let anyone take it from you again. Thank you, Reddit, for letting me scream into the void these past 15 parts. I didn't just survive this, I learned who I am without her. And the guy I see in the mirror now? He's better, stronger, free. Stay safe out there. And don't ignore the red flags. You already know what they mean.